Hi, in this tutorial, I will explain what are TestNG annotation and how you can use it in your test cases. Okay, so let's open the slides. Well, TestNG annotation basically is used to control the execution flow of your test cases. So you can actually control which test case runs first, second, third, etc. So you can control the sequence order of your test cases, to put into the simple term. So also we can say, what are these annotations? This annotation basically provides additional information about your method, right? So to understand this, it's the best way to understand is through the demonstration. If you see that how it works, I'm pretty sure that it will pick it up this topic very quickly. So as I said, that through the annotation, you can control the sequence execution of your test cases, right? So this is the way, these are basically the annotation that for the execution of the test cases that we use in TestNG. So this is the way that they execute it. For example, before suite, run before the entire suite. Before test, run before all the test cases. And they run only one time. Before class, run after class, before class only, before your entire class, and after class, after your entire class. This two is different. And why they are different? Because they keep repeating, okay? Because they happens. These two will execute before and after every single test cases. For example, if you have 4 test cases, this will run before test case 1, and then after that test case. Then again, this will run before test 2, and before this after method will run after test 2. So in this case, they keep repeating. So these two will run before every single test cases in your test cases. So as I said, that to better the best way to understand is through the demonstration. Let's actually create a class. Okay, let's create a class, and I'm gonna call this class annotation. Okay, annotations, and okay, so let's create a class and make sure that whenever you create a test, so this is the test, right? Test basically meaning that this is a test case. In TestNG, the test case is represented by add test annotation. Make sure that it comes from the org TestNG annotation. So click on this. Now you have the test. Now I make it public, and I'm gonna create a name for this. For example, I can say that what I want to do is I want to test the title, right? Test the title of a I want to test the title of a, let's say, website. So to do that, I'm planning to copy some of this some of the codes for the driver setup. All right, so what we need to do, we need to set up our web driver, and I already typed this. I just need to paste it. And what I need to do, I need my web driver. So let's actually create the reference variable of the web drivers. All right, so before everything, we need to set our web driver. We need to set our the Google Chrome, and we maximize this, and then we go to this website, right? So then we go to this website. So let's say that when we go to this website, we want to get the title. Okay, so this is the website, and this is the title, Swag Labs, right? So we want to confirm the title. How we can do that? This is pretty easy, right? So we want to assert that. We want to perform assertion. Assert that assert equals. What was that? It was Swag Labs, right? Swag Labs. And now we want to get this title from the website, right? And then I believe that that's it. So let's actually run this. And before I run this, I'm gonna close the browser. Okay. So this is the test case. This is the test case, and this part is actually about the driver setup, and this is the one that we want to perform the assertion. We want to make sure that the title is correct. So let's run this. All right, so the test is passed, right? The title is correct. The test is passed. Now, in the same way, let's create another test, okay? Let's create another test. And to create another test, what I need to do is, let's create another test, listen to annotation, and I'm gonna call this public void, and I'm gonna call it test login. Okay, this time we're gonna test the login. We wanna test the login, make sure that the login is work. Again, what do we need? We need the driver set up, we need to maximize it, and we need to get to this website, right? To test the login. All right, so let's paste this, okay? And now after I do my assertion, whatever I want to do, then I want to close the WebDriver, right? So, all right. So to perform the login, this is pretty easy. Let's find this element. So the user, the IDs for this is user, and for this is a password, right? For this is password, and for this the login button is login, right? Because this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna just type it really, do it pretty quickly. Okay. All right. So what we need to do is ID, and that was user name, right? So after we got this, what we want to do, we want to send the username, and username for that, I believe that is standard user, right? Okay. So in the same way, we want to do for password, right? We want to do for password. So what we need to do, and we just need to type, this is by ID password, and then what we need to send our password, and the password I believe was secret sauce. Okay, so this is the password, and after that, what we want to do, we want to click on the login button, and also this one, also we are going to find it by the ID. I already copied that ID. And then what I want to do, I want to click on it, right? So I want to click on it to log in. So what happens after we logged in? After we logged in, this is the password, secret underscore, secret underscore sauce. All right, so after we logged in, we just want to make sure that we are logged in, and we're going to confirm by this text, right? It is product. So how we can do that? I already, we use the span, the tag name, and text function to locate this element. And now what we want to do here, we want to perform an assertion, right? So let's say that I want to get this, and I'm going to call this the expect, because we get the text from the application, right? We are call it expect, and no, not the title, my bad. Find element, and this one is actually by expect. Let's print this. And after I get the element, I'm going to get the text, because I get the text of this element, right? Now I can do the assertion. For example, I can say assert equals, what is my word? And I think it was products, right? And the expect. And this is the text that we get it from the application after we logged in. All right, so now let's run this. What is going on? All right, so let's see what's going on over here. Did we make any mistake? find element user. Okay, user is wrong, right? I misspelled it. It is that happens when you rush. All right, so now let's try this again. I think I got everything else right. Okay, so now let's log in. All right, so it works. Log in. Okay, and the test is passed. All right, so now let me actually show you something that really important here, right? We have the driver setup. It maximizes it and opens up this website. Okay, opens up this website. And this is the test login method. And also, if you notice that test title, we have the same thing. We have a driver setup and it goes to the same website. And one thing else is also the same is quit, right? Driver.quit closes the browser. And if I scroll down here, we also have driver.quit. So you see the similarities. We have the same. And if we write another method, we have to write this over and over? They are the same. So how we can do that, what we can do so that we don't have to write this over and over, so that it can repeat. And as I said already, there is a method for this that repeats for every single test case, test annotation. And what is this method? Let me actually show you. This is called before method. So before method runs before everything, before every single test cases. Let me actually write this public void, and then we are going to call this, for example, let's call this setup, right? Or we can say driver setup, because it basically set up the driver for us, right? And what we need to do now, so let's say we are going to put this part, because basically every single test case needs to open up the maximize the browser and open up this website, right? So what we need to do, we need to cat this and paste it right here, right? And in the same way, we also need to close the browser for every test case, right? We need to close the browser, and there is also another method, and it is called after method. So this method, let me actually write the name, and let's call this tear down. Tear down means terminated, right? And we are going to put driver.quit. Okay, so now I need to, you see that now our test case is even like only one line. This is the way that test case is supposed to be. This case is supposed to be very short. And also I need to delete this because the before method already repeat that for me. And also we don't need this part because the after method does it. So again, what is this after method and before method? So before method will run before every single test annotation. Anywhere that you see test, this will run before every single of them. And what is after method? After method will run after every single test annotation. And to our understanding, so let's say that I just want to have some text, right? And I can say this runs before every single, and I'm going to call test annotation. Okay, test annotation. All right, so let's copy that and copy this. This is the same. This is the same, but the only difference is that it runs after, right? So it runs after. So now let me tell you how this one works. First, let's say this test case execute, right? So to make sure that this test case execute first, let's actually prioritize it to 1. And let's prioritize this to 2, right? So let me tell you that now this test case will execute first, but this one will not execute right away. First, this method, before method, this one will execute. and then this line will be executed, and then after the method. What about test two? Test two is the same, okay? Test two is the same. Before this test case runs, before that, this part will be executed, the driver setup, and then these lines will be executed. After this line, the flow will go back to the after method, and it closes the browser for every single test case. So let's actually run this. And as I said, let's actually put another thing that so that you can understand. This is this case one, right? And in the same way, this is because this is test two. Just to understand that, I'm going to call this this is this case two. Okay, so now let's run it. All right, you see that for two test cases runs, and before every test cases, our browser open and our browser close. So right now, as you can see, before method, right? This runs before every single method. Before method executed first, before method, then the test case, then the after method. You see that after method. Again, for the second test case, before method, then the test case, and then after the method got executed. All right. So what about right now? These were up to the level of the test cases. So what about if we want to execute something before this class? You see that annotation? This is a class, and we want to execute something before the entire class one time. What we can do, we can actually use this. We can call it before class, right? So we can actually, let's actually not play with this because we need this reference driver. All right, so let's say that I want to call this public void run before class, right? Before class, and let's call this and say that this runs before the entire class only one time, okay? And in the same way, I'm going to copy this to save some time, paste it, and because it has the same name, I'm going to call this run after class, okay? This runs after the entire class only one time. So as I said that, let's say that if you have one really important and that the test case that you want to run before the class and also after the class, before the entire class and after that, what you can do, you can use this annotation. Okay, let's run it again. All right, so now let's see. This runs after the entire class. This runs after the entire class only one time. This runs before the entire class only one time. And then we have this runs before every single annotation, before the method, and our test cases after the method. Again, in the same process, it gets executed, okay? So let's see something around here. Okay, before class. And this one before the entire class only one time. So let's actually, one time I missed the spell one time. And it's also here. Before class, oops, I made a mistake. That's why it wasn't showing. It's supposed to be after class, right? Supposed to be after class. That's why it was not right over here. I was a little bit confused about that. Let's run it again. Okay, second test case. All right, so now we can say this runs before the entire class, and then before method, our first test case, and then after the method. Then again, before method, our test case, and then after the method. And also we have this runs after the entire class. After all the everything in the class, and this then after class will be executed. Okay, so we got two more annotation that we need to bring it up here, and they are we have also before test and after test. So what does that mean? Let me actually show you that as well, and we call it that before test, and let's call this void run before test. Okay, and let's call this runs before entire test cases only once. Okay, and to just not to get confused like last time, I want to type that, and we're going to call after test. Okay, and let's name this public void run after test. Okay, run after test, and this is, let's copy that, just save some time. And this after, actually now we just need to after the entire test cases only once. So what is this? This is pretty, as the name implies, and this is pretty easy. This will run, okay? The first thing before test will run, and then it's gonna wait for all the test cases. After all the test cases run, then this after test will run, okay? This after test will run. All right, so let's execute this one, and let me show you. Oops. What is going on? Let's run this again, see what's going on. Okay. All right. So as you can see, this runs before the entire test case is only once, and this one runs before the entire class, right? So this one runs before the entire class, and then the same way we have before method, the test cases, and after method, and also the test case 2 before method, test case 2 and after method, and also we have the entire, this runs after the entire class. And as you can see, this runs test cases only, this runs after the entire test cases only once. After all the test cases are executed, then the after test gets executed. And we got one more thing, and that's called before suite and after suite. Okay, let me actually show you that too. And it is before suite, okay, public void, and we can say that run before entire suite, okay, and we can say that this runs before entire test suite only once, entire test suite only one. Or instead of test suite, we can say that let's call this before suite, right? So that we can know before suite runs before the entire class. And let me actually copy that. You just save it some time, paste it, and let's call this, just change that here, and I can say that after entire test suite, right? And here we can say that after suite runs after the entire test suite only once. All right, so let's run this as well. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that happens is the after suite, right? Before the entire test suite. After suite executed only one, as you can see here, right here. And then before suite, test suite, before test suite runs before the entire test suite only once. And then after that, the test cases, this run before the entire test cases, before test and after test. And then we have the before class and after class, right? This runs before every single annotation, and the same way, test case one, annotation. Then we have this runs after every single test annotation, before method and after method, and in the same way. All right, so now let me actually show you the, again, let me show you the process that it happens. So as you can see, the priority, right? Before suite, then before suite, after suite, before test, after test, before class, after class, before method, after method, and test annotation. So the most important thing I believe here is the test annotation, which this means that this is a test case in TestNG, and also the before method and after method. These are the predominantly are used in the annotation and TestNG annotation. And as I said, that these two will run repeatedly before every single test cases. For example, if you have two test case one, first this one runs, like opening up the browser, set up the browser, and then the test case one, and then after method. And when it comes to test case two, first before method executed, test case two, and after method executed. That's it about TestNG annotation. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.